Well, welcome everybody. It's that time of the month, the year, the quarter, whatever it is, where I get to chew the thin with Barrie Elvish, CEO, Fitness Australia.
Thank you, JT. Good to be here again.
Mate, I love doing this. This is so cool, and I think this is our third one, which by my maths would say you've been here for a little over 12 months now?
Yeah, well, obviously you're a PT instructor, not a mathematician, because it's actually 14 months.
14 months?
JT.
I say 12, not 14.
Yeah,
okay.
14. But look, I'm looking forward to this since we did the last one. Time was flowing. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hope you had a good Christmas.
Yeah.
I've looked forward to this. I bought a new shirt, had my hair cut, ready to go. So, let's get into it.
Well, tell us about your 14 months then. When you came into the industry, you probably came into this job eyes wide closed, eyes wide open. What was perhaps, a real industry insight that you haven't expected that has unravelled in front of your eyes over the last 14 months?
Yeah, when we first met, JT, as you know, I was here on an interim contract.
Yeah.
And I what appealed to me was Sydney, because my sons live here. But also something new. I'm not from the fitness industry background, you know that. But the thing that's really impressed me and what's really engaged with me and why when the board said to me, would I stay on permanently, was it's such a positive industry. I mean, it's competitive, but it's not I win, you lose. It's we all win.
Mm.
And dealing with people and working with people and then, our members obviously, but also then their clients, it's people who want to actually improve themselves. And so it's got a very positive overlay to it. The other thing which I know from personal experience, but it's come out even stronger now, is the importance of exercise as medicine. So exercise not just as a means to an end in itself, it's actually part of a wider well-being, etc. So the benefits of it with physical health are well known, but now we increasingly know the benefits of it as a preventative exercise for mental health issues as well.
And are you seeing with the people that you get to hang out with that actually starting to raise in importance that exercise is preventative medicine? Are people starting to acknowledge that?
Absolutely. And look, I think that was part of what we're going to talk later on about the eating disorder guidelines, but that's part of that as well. People understanding that exercise is not just going into a bricks and mortar building and lifting weights or whatever. It's actually part of a holistic approach that people should be taking. The research we did earlier on last year, about baby boomers, again, they're the most active generation, and they're doing that, I think, not just because they want to get six packs, because believe me, at my age you don't get a six pack, but it's just to actually be fit, be well, be confident, and be able to enjoy the rest of life. So using exercise as part of a much more wider program, and even the fact that doctors are now prescribing what they call social prescriptions, which can be, rather than JT go and take some drugs, mate, you got a problem, it's JT go for a walk in the park, take your dog for a walk, JT go to the gym, start doing some exercise. So there's a greater realisation, I think, in the wider community that fitness has a role to play. And it's interesting, when I was speaking at the launch of the eating disorder guidelines the other day, the Minister Colbeck was there, the sports minister, and he looked me in the eye when he was giving his address, and he said, Barrie, it's really good that Fitness Australia is part of this launch, because the fitness industry's got a bad reputation. And that actually took me back. I didn't realise that there was that perception at that level. At that level, yeah. Which is really quite a concern to some degree. And it reflects a view that was passed on to me when I first joined. I went down to meet the CEO of Sport Australia, who's now resigned from that position. But she said to me, Barrie, gym's got a real image problem. And what do you mean? What are you talking about? She said, well, it's all full of, young men pumping iron and attractive bodies in lycra and stuff. And I said, well, all due respect, the gym I've just come from in Victoria is not full of men pumping iron. It's all age groups, all shapes and sizes, all abilities, special needs, whatever. So, but what that tells me, JT, is that we have a bit of an image problem with key stakeholders. The good thing about the minister's comment, if you can find, every cloud has a silver lining, afterwards when we were having a more informal discussion, he said to me, I'm really pleased I came today, because now I can see what the role the fitness industry can potentially play in the wider Australian community with health issues and so on. So he almost had like an epiphany. It was like the road to Damascus. And I had to go off and interestingly go and meet with John Alexander, who's the local member for Bennelong, so I had to leave that launch early. But we're going to have a follow-up discussion to see what we can do as an industry, in partnership with other players as well, but to help the government roll out its more people, more active, more often. It's easy for governments to sign up to international agreements to do these sort of things. It's harder to get them to commit funds to it or whatever. So my suggestion to the Minister, and by default to the government, was he needs to set up some sort of expert advisory body, which we'd like to be part of, to help the government actually roll out this program so it actually means something rather than just a signature on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Now that's really interesting. So over the last 14 months, you would have seen lots of challenges that Fitness Australia have had to undergo. And some of them internally, obviously, and we've talked about that previously. Some of it around the brand, the position. But do you imagine that this is actually one of the biggest challenges that we have as an industry, is this perception of who or what we are?
I do. And look...
And then does that fall in under your charter, or is that the individual club owner's charter that's got to go?
Well, it's everybody. So there's a role to play by the individual gym businesses, the individual PTs and instructors and AusReps that work in those businesses or work outside of those businesses, and there's a role to play for us as a peak body. In advocacy and so on. I mean, by definition, being a CEO for the last 20 odd years, you tend to think I'm a reasonably confident person. Well, I've got to say, when I first went into a gym, I was a little bit tentative. So if I'm feeling that way, what does Joe Public feel as well, or Jill Public? So we've got a lot of work to do, and it comes back to some degree, and this is one of the things I've learned about the industry. You come back to your original question, JT. Depending on what you read or listen to, 15 to 20% of Australians have got a gym membership.
Yeah.
A lot of the discussion I hear people in the industry talking about is how can they increase their share of that 15 to 20%.
Oh, right.
Okay.
You actually want to get
so
more than that 20.
How can they increase their share of the cake?
Yeah.
Rather than how can we make the cake bigger? And you know, there's 80% of the population out there who haven't joined or considered joining a gym. Now, some of those, there's lots of reasons for that, but I suspect one of those reasons is the image in their mind that the fitness industry has got. So we have to really shift the goalposts.
Yeah.
And that's a huge task for us all, and we all have a role to play. But I think it's critical in growing that 20% to 22, 23, 24, 25, whatever. And when the government has got a view that we've got a problem, then they're not going to push growing that 20% either. So we really have to work with all those key influencers. I'm not talking about people on Facebook with all the rest. I'm talking about people
with their six-pack.
With their six-pack.
Yep.
I'm talking about people that make government policy, people that give government grants, Sport Australia, Institute of Sport, all these, you know, our members, our non-members, people who should be working together to actually change this perception, to grow the industry. Because ultimately, if we grow the industry, you know who wins? Our members, obviously, but the wider community and our country as a whole wins. So it's tick, tick, tick. It's literally that win, win, win. There is no downside.
Yeah, exactly. So over the 14 months, you've now got a new board as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you excited with it?
Really, really excited. In fact, when I first joined, people who were critical of Fitness Australia, and as we've shared in the past, you know, they had no hesitation in telling me what was wrong.
Putting the kick in.
And you know, a couple of the comments were Boys Club Sydney Mafia. And look, there's still a bit of a view out there in some of our non-members who don't understand and haven't had the wherewithal to follow the change we have. But the new board now is no longer a boys' club. There is more females than males on the board. It is not a Sydney Mafia. It is a really energised, younger. So fantastic for me, except it makes me feel older. But it's the board, and look, they're already asking the questions that need to be asked. Mm-hmm. And it's just so exciting to work with the board. When the new board, when the old board, the previous board, and I've got to give them credit for this, in agreeing unanimously to change the constitution, I said to the board, you do not realise the impact of what this has on this organisation and moving forward, because you've now given the bulk of our members a voice, you've now given them positions on the board. You've now given it's now got a greater gender equity issue on it, gender diversity. You brought in some new blood. And that is it. I've seen so many organisations I've worked with or have been associated with over the last 20 odd years as a CEO, where they've actually died because the board would not be or could not get themselves in a position to change those sort of things. It is the most significant thing an organisation can do. Now, that's the good news. Now, and it's all good news, but now the pressure starts on us to start responding and keeping them energised and taking their direction. So one of the things they've done, I took them offline and said, look, talk to me from your experiences, how Fitness Australia has been selling the message.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Okay,
yeah,
engaging
because they're all from different parts of the industry. So
all from different parts.
Yeah.
Different states, different regions, and so on. So I said, tell me how we've been selling the message, what we've been doing good or well, what we've been doing not so well, what we need to improve, and so on. And it was a really candid, forthright, constructive discussion. And one of the things they've said is, Barrie, between now and, which was earlier on this year, and Filex, we want you just to pull back a little bit from a lot of your marketing activities, go out and spend some time meeting with our members, our non-members, people who were but have left for whatever reason, and find out from them what they want this organisation to do moving forward, what sort of messages they want us to sell or put out there to the sector, what they want to read about, what sort of initiatives we can get involved with. So between then and Filex, spending a lot of time travelling, meeting with business members, with AusReps, with non-members and so on, to hear from them what we can do better, and also what we've been doing well, obviously. For the first time in almost 2.5 years, I'm going to Perth in 2 weeks' time to meet with members over there. We've had no physical presence, no physical visits in WA for over 2 years. Wow.
So if you're in Perth, man's coming across to make sure
guys, we would really love you to come and meet with us.
Yeah.
All the information obviously is online. But I would really encourage members, past members, people who've got some good news stories to share, people that want to tell us what we haven't been doing well. We're also, I'm going to be interviewing for a position. We're going to put a person over in Perth as well.
Oh, when you said you're going to be interviewing, I'm thinking, what, you're leaving?
No. Well, no, I'm not.
You're going to add to your team.
I'm not moving to Perth. No, we're going to add a person in Perth to help service those members, because they've been really tolerant and really, forgiving of us. So I think we need to lift our game over there.
But don't worry about it, because they're still asleep.
I know. Well,
they're 3 hours behind, so they'll be watching this on replay.
That's okay, but they'll be watching. That's the main thing. Yeah.
So I want to come back to your interaction with the members, in the AusRep members as well as the members. Have you seen over the 14 months, and even particularly maybe with a change in board, everything that you've been doing, has there been any uplift or change in your membership numbers?
The membership numbers, they've sort of stabilised. Business
well, that's good.
It is good. It is good. I was reading a report put out by Q Skills or Skills IQ or something just yesterday, in fact, and they had all the data from 2019 about the number of people actually employed in the industry and so on. So we're actually maintaining our market share of the PTs and the businesses. The businesses are growing slowly, which is really positive. The PTs have stabilised. But JT, we have got the new board, which is what I'm, I guess, really excited about. One of the things particularly, they've signed off on 2 new initiatives.
Is this an exclusive?
I can't actually share the details with you.
Okay. But we've got 2 new initiatives
coming. 2 new initiatives. We are just getting independent legal advice as to what they may look like, and
Fantastic.
so on and so on. But the board has signed off and said, yes, go with this. And if we get the tick from all the external parties, I'm in consultation with some of our members about how they would react to these changes. I think it's going to change the sector significantly. And in fact, I would suggest that you and I need to get together, not in 3 months' time, but after these have been ratified or whatever, to talk to your viewers about what it actually means. But these are 2 initiatives which are going to raise standards. They're going to raise the profile of the fitness industry in Australia. They will help us in getting over those perceptions about.
Great.
We talked about earlier on this morning.
Increase that pie.
Increase the pie. and let consumers have confidence while that pie is increasing, and actually add to the recipe to make it bigger. I'm really excited about them. We're spending a lot of time between now and Filex. We hope to be able to publicly announce them at Filex or around that time.
Yep.
But they're going to be really big game changers.
That sounds terrific.
Yeah.
You piqued my interest, and I'm sure lots of people's other interest out there. Now, you said that you've been in the trenches.
Yeah.
I know, and many people may not be aware of this, how much effort Fitness Australia team members have made towards the AusRep and business members in the fire-ravaged areas.
Yeah.
Do you want to share perhaps what the guys have been doing? Because I think it's a great story.
Yeah, so what we've been doing, JT, we've been reaching out, contacting all of those businesses and AusReps we know live or operate in the fire-impacted regions, just to check in. You know, how are you going? What can we do? Anything we can do to help you, and so on. We've waived the membership fees for the gyms that have been impacted by those fires.
Wow!
And we're going to suspend not suspend. We're going to what's the right word? Extend the membership of AusReps to cover some, support them there as well. So it's just a small thing we can do to, I guess, acknowledge that these guys and girls are experiencing some difficulties.
Yeah.
But that's something we can do for our members. But what we've also so as with most of the community, people, what can we do? This is terrible news. What can we do? And there was talk about doing some fundraising within Fitness Australia staff and so on. I said to the crew, look, that's wonderful, but at the end of the day, we might raise 10 or 20,000. That's good, but it's just a drop in the bucket when there's millions of dollars out there. And these communities, I know from personal experience working in regional communities in Victoria, after the fires have gone, which they have now, and the media caravan has moved on, people lose interest or lose focus in that sort of stuff. Those communities have got to rebuild themselves.
Yeah.
And that takes time, in some cases years. So we have partnered with Active Farmers, one of our award winners from last year at the awards.
Great story for business.
Yeah, so we've partnered with them, and we've partnered with some of our business members. Some of our business members are going to donate equipment to us when they're, renewing their services. So FLG Group is the first one that's come on board, and Greg Oliver has said that he will support us by donating equipment. We will then donate that equipment to Active Farmers, and they can then roll out their programs, because one of the problems they have is getting funds to buy equipment. If necessary, we will contact AusReps to go and work with them as well, to be able to roll out those programs in communities that have been impacted by the fires, but also droughts.
I was going to ask about drought, because obviously the farmers are mainly drought, but now we've got fire
absolutely.
as well.
Now, Active Farmers have got, at this stage, about 100 submissions of interest to start services. Wow. And they're constrained by resources and so on. So we're going to partner with them to roll that out, and that will be a resilience building exercise for that community, because as we know, it comes back to what we were saying before, exercise,
preventive medicine,
it's a means to an end. Bring the community together. If they get fitter, fantastic, but the first thing is to get them together, get them talking, and they can use exercise as the catalyst to bring them together. So we really thought about that. That's something the industry can get behind, and it's something that will have a long-term benefit, and there'll be, I absolutely guarantee, lots of good news stories to come out of that.
Now, when you say equipment, I'm assuming you're not talking about treadmills and pin-loaded pieces of equipment. You're probably talking about pump bars,
transportable,
easy access stuff.
Yeah, stuff that can go in the back of a ute or a van or whatever, that can be unpacked really quickly, easy to use. Like not lightweight per se, but it's transportable and can be moved from site to site.
So if anybody's out there watching now and you've got some of this easily transportable equipment, what's the best? Just to buzz the office?
And I'll dob Liz in on this. Liz Richardson, my PA. I know she's expressed an interest in getting involved with this, so go to Liz. But we would welcome, it's got to be stuff which is usable. Yeah,
we don't want broken, we don't want your shit that's broken, ladies and gents. We want the stuff that people can use.
We want to do this as a good news story.
Yeah.
We don't want to have people injured because something's fallen apart, whatever. But a lot of the gyms will be renewing their services. The guys at Viva have just acquired a new group, I believe, up here in New South Wales, and they've indicated they'll be replenishing the stock there, and they've also expressed an interest to get involved as well. So I'm sure once industry becomes aware of this, they'll get behind it, because this is the industry supporting the community, our own communities obviously, our own fitness communities, but also the wider community. And it's something which then reinforces again that fitness is not something that is just for people with six-packs and so on, and lycra and so on. These are farmers that will come in their stubbies and their blues t-shirts and whatever. Great.
And away they go. How is the mental state of some of the people in our industry that are either in the drought-affected areas or the fire-affected? Are they doing okay? Or are they actually the resilient ones, because people are coming to them to work out?
Yeah, look, I can't really comment on that, JT. I would imagine that people in our industry are probably, I would hope, coping better than the average person, just because, as I was saying before, it's a very positive industry.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, dealing with this sort of stuff would knock anybody.
Oh.
And the more we can reach out, and it's like the Are You OK sort of business. If I would suggest any of your viewers that have got a friend, a colleague, whatever, who's been impacted by this, just a phone call, whatever, people appreciate just people checking in on them. We know that particularly on the mental health side of it, the more we can engage, get people talking, the better, and that's the beauty of the active farmers, because they're exercising, but also they are talking to each other before and after, having a coffee, whatever. Mental health issues are a curse in our community, they really are, and what we do know is that exercise has got an absolute critical role to play in that, preventative, maintenance, post. So, yeah.
Well, a big shout out to Greg Webb. So before you got into the fitness industry, a great supporter of Fitness Australia was Greg Webb. Greg was an equipment distributor, loved by everybody in the industry, still is loved by everybody, lost his whole house
really? Okay.
At Lake Conjola.
Okay.
Right down to his son posting on Facebook that if anybody had any spare underpants, Dad would be appreciative of that.
Clean, I assume.
Yeah. So it's been interesting watching Greg share some of his video stories from Webby Walks on what's going on down there, and he'd be a great person that I'm happy to connect you with.
That would be fantastic.
He's, a real supporter of exercise for mental health, not for vanity. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and I think, JT, to say again, the thing is the media is moving on now.
Yeah, we're on the coronavirus.
Coronavirus now.
So what's Fitness Australia's perspective on the coronavirus?
I'm drinking lots of Heineken because I'm worried about the Heineken virus more than the coronavirus.
We'll be back same time next week after that joke. Now, you did mention there active farmers, who obviously were a winner last year at the awards. We're back up again. Last week, my social feed was filled with the top 3, I think, nominees for finalists for each of the awards. Yeah. Congratulations on a great award season.
Over 2,000 nominations this year. As far as I'm concerned, it's a record.
That's
I haven't heard of any 500 up on last year. Good interest in the sector. We've got a couple of new categories this year, so that may have helped trigger that. We've also got some new sponsors on board this year with Lorna Jane and One Music and Les Mills. Excuse me. And
Les Mills. Ryan, if you're watching this, we need some equipment for our active farmers. Yeah. Some of those old Les Mills stuff, you could just handball out.
I could. And actually, I need to acknowledge Ryan and Les Mills, and also Anytime and Snap as well, and Vision, because I'm going out to speak to their staff when they have their big get-togethers to talk about the consultation we referred to before. So they've actually made their time available. They've invited me in to go and talk to their big staff group. So thanks, guys, for all of that.
Would you do that like for, I don't know, all sorts, Jim, if they're having a staff meeting down the road and you happen to be in town? Would you?
I would welcome the opportunity, because I know when I go into my local gym and speak to the PTs there, they know I'm the CEO of. I don't get any discounts, by the way, guys, but thanks for that.
Cash for comments.
Yeah, they know I'm the CEO of Fitness Australia. And we make a joke about that, but they're already starting to engage and tell me things that I appreciate them telling me. Yeah, I won't embarrass them by doing it live here, but certainly they do have an opinion on Fitness Australia, and it's actually a good opinion. One of the guys who's down there has just come over from Ireland, and he was saying it was fantastic that we have international recognition as AusReps for his Irish
cool.
qual. So he thinks we're fantastic, which I said, well, we are. So even better now.
So I think, so if you're out there and you're watching and you're a club owner or a club manager and Barrie happens to be in town, hit him up, send a message to Liz, his PA, and say, would he be available to come and have a chat to the staff? He's going to be in Perth in a couple of weeks. Meredith Wilkie, Carol Richardson, Michael Kessler-Hoglow, all of you guys, he's going to be over there. Maybe he'd be worth coming in and having a chat to your team. So tell us about the awards. 2,000 plus.
Yep.
Some new sponsors. How pumped up are you for the gala?
Oh, I'm really pumped up. Like, as you know, last year the gala was a fantastic event. My first experience with the industry.
That's when you drank the Kool-Aid.
I did drink the Kool-Aid that night, and I don't know if you remember. Were you there that night?
Yeah, I was.
So we were talking about ancient
Rome,
ancient games, and
nude people running around.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I tell you what, it got people engaged. So part 2 of that, guys, is going to be on this awards dinner. So if you want to know about the Roman version of the Olympic Games, it's even more exciting and R-rated than the Greek one. So it's really worth coming along to the dinner. Last year's dinner we sold out, and we could have sold the same number again. So this year we've got a bigger room.
Awesome.
More awards. My speech, of course, which will be, that's worth coming along just to see that alone. But yeah, look, come along. It's a celebration of the industry. It's a celebration of really good practice, good things that are happening, and it's a time to get together and really celebrate, basically. And there'll be a lot of flow and stories coming out of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully to, again, influence of those key stakeholders we talked about before. Fantastic night. It's a really cheap night too, actually. Very reasonably priced. If you're going to Filex, come along.
It's on the Saturday of Filex.
I'm not sure it's a Saturday. I think it might be the Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, don't come Saturday because it might be empty.
Don't go Saturday.
No,
go Friday.
I'm pretty sure it's Friday. But particularly if you're going to Filex, it's worth coming along to. And Filex itself, of course, our members get a significantly reduced price to that. There's a fantastic program. Kurt Fernley, I had Kurt speak at one of my early childhood conferences when I was in that sector in Queensland. Fantastic speaker. The whole program is really good. So have a look at that as well.
Great. And Emma Barrie's coming out to speak on the business side of things as well as plenty of other great business speakers. So Filex is going to be outstanding. So just quickly going back for the awards, I'm not sure if I can say this, but I will.
We will anyway. Yeah.
I will. I was a judge for a couple of categories, and I was completely blown away at people that I'd never heard of, hearing their stories of what they do in the industry.
Yeah.
For me, anybody that applied is a winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 3 finalists are bigger winners, and there doesn't need to be a singling out of one of those 3, because honestly, some of the stories are quite emotional of what they've achieved in their communities, what they've achieved with their business, what they've achieved with their staff.
Yeah.
They're great stories, and it will be a great night.
Yeah. And you're quite right. Like we were saying before, what appeals to me about this industry is everyone wins. There are no losers, effectively. And all of those nominees are winners. It doesn't matter who actually gets the gong on the night. They're all winners.
Yeah.
And that's 2,000 winners. Hey, that's
pretty cool.
That's pretty amazing.
But I guess that also comes back to where we started today, which is from inside our industry. We think we're pretty darn awesome, and we're doing a great job. But from the outside looking in, we still haven't quite got our ducks in line, have we?
No.
Okay, so if you're watching on the Fitness Australia broadcast or our broadcast, we'll make sure that in the comments below it will be the link awards.fitness.org.au, awards.fitness.org.au, and board member for Fitness Australia, Chantel Broderick, is watching, and she confirms that it is Friday, May the 1st.
And Chantel will be emceeing again. She did a fantastic job last year.
But she does it for free, you see, because she's a board member.
You might want to discuss that.
Okay, so let's move on. Prior to my newsfeed being filled with all of these finalists, was this whole thing about this eating disorder guidelines that I'd never heard of, didn't know anything about. All of a sudden it pops up. I've been working on this behind the scenes because you came out of the gates with a real bang.
Yeah, so Chris Alexander down in Victoria, he's been working very hard on this for some time now, and we launched it last week, and it's a series of guidelines to help our PTs and anyone working in the gym basically to be able to help identify a person that may be presenting with an eating disorder and then refer them on to the appropriate health professionals, and then work with those health professionals, work with the individual consumer, work with their family, work with the wider community if they've got some friends or colleagues there as well to help that individual overcome those eating disorders. So, look, I know from personal experience, I've heard clients in gyms, you know, it's a relationship between the instructors, the staff and the clients, and that starts with a bit of a trust after a while. And I've heard discussions around a whole range of issues that indicates there's a bond developing there. And I know that those personal trainers want to help those clients, and to some degree it's outside of our scope of practice. You know, we can't get involved in many of the sort of medical and the scientific sides of it, but we can help identify when an eating disorder is starting to become obvious. And
so that's really what the guidelines are.
Yeah.
It's to identify, looking at the behaviour, looking at the person,
listening to the conversation,
we can identify something.
Yeah, and then working with that client to say, okay, how can we help you through this? How can we bring in some allied health? How can we bring in some other support mechanisms, professionals and so on? It's not saying, here, we're going to hand you over. It's actually bringing them all together and working holistically. Because, as we know, working holistically and with our colleagues and the other allied health crew, much higher chance of a better outcome than just handling that person over or ignoring it, which is even worse. So it's going to empower our crew really well, I think. And it's going to make life better for people with eating disorders. So it's a really good exercise. And as we said before, the fact that the Minister was there, I think indicates how important it was being viewed by the sector, by the government. He has already started dialogue with his colleagues in the health department, because one of the things that frustrates me a little bit is that sport, health, it's sort of split in the government, and it's not just federal governments, most state governments as well.
And we end up in sport.
We end up in sport.
And we should be.
Yeah. Well, we straddle, a lot of areas. So the eating disorder guidelines are a really good initiative, and it's something that, Fitness Australia, as you said, we've been working on it quietly. All of a sudden, bang, it's out there. And there's some other things we're working on too, but you'll see those and they get a bang out there as well.
So with those guidelines, is there training that a personal trainer could go through, or a business member could get to help teach the people how to have the conversation? Because it's great having the guidelines, but then how do we go to that next step?
Yeah, there are some CEC modules particular to, I think, cover those off. And I'm pretty sure that Chris is working on some other more specific ones as well. So I'd suggest that they probably, anyone's interested in getting more information, they go online. But the guidelines will actually, I think, point crew to those extra resources.
Is there any, and I don't know the question without notice, is there any liability for clubs that have people working out in their clubs with eating disorders?
That's a good question, JT. I mean,
Now that Fitness Australia got recommendations, does it now mean that, well, really we should be doing something?
I'd come at it a different way. I think rather than we should be because there's the threat of litigation, I'd be saying we should be because this is actually making a better outcome for the client.
I would agree.
Anything which goes down, we're doing this because we're worried about getting sued or something, is not a good rationale.
Yeah, good point.
We've got to do it because we're after the well-being of this particular client, and I'm sure that's what we really are about.
Yeah. Okay. Be interesting to explore that. So speaking of exploring, industry consultation. What does that look like? What does that mean? You've been doing that, I guess, ad hoc. Are you looking to formalise that or continue with that, or both?
Yeah, well, I've been meeting with some of the larger businesses, I guess, in various states now, Queensland, Victoria, South Australia. We're doing it in WA early next month. I'll be going back to all those states again to talk to them specifically about these initiatives that I can't talk to you about, to get their input into that. We've had some early discussions with that, but also it's to give what sort of issues they want us to talk about, because industries our business members particularly are very keen for us to advocate.
Yeah.
Well, that's lovely, but you can advocate till the cows come home. It's actually better if you advocate on 3 or 4 critical issues. So part of those will be looking at how we can get more people more active more often.
Mm-hmm.
How can we partner with Sport Australia on their campaigns to get your 30 and so on. So it's really just, I guess, there's no specific agenda per se on this particular one, these particular sessions coming up, JT. Is to give those businesses that haven't had a chance to meet with me yet to catch up. It also gives me a chance to talk to them about some of our initiatives that we're working on. But it's really just that dialogue, to open up the dialogue.
And when you have those consultations or that dialogue, I don't know if you know the answer to this, what percentage are members and what are non-members? Do you get non-members coming in and saying, oh, and it gives you an opportunity to have that conversation? Or are the non-members just still not participating?
I'd have to say it's primarily the converted who are coming, but in some cases it's the converted with concerns. So they are members.
Which is great, yeah.
So they are members that are saying, look, you need to lift your game, or you've been doing this well, but here's something we'd like you to work on. And there are some issues that we can work on. I mean, as you're probably aware, there was an FBT issue a few years back, which didn't go anywhere there, but that's something which we want to talk about. I think a more pressing, which has been raised with me by a couple of our larger members, is work. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Contracts for employment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So limitations and obstructions in hours of employment. At the moment, the current workplace agreements don't actually facilitate good outcomes for either the business owners or the AusReps, by the way.
Yeah.
So we need to, I guess, I'd be really interested to hear what our businesses believe we can do to improve that, because changing workplace agreements and arrangements takes time. But that's a very important role that Fitness Australia can get involved in on behalf of our members. And as I say, if we can get more flexibility in those agreements, it's going to mean more work hours for our AusReps and less drama for our businesses, and actually be able to staff their facilities. So that's one which one of our members has raised with me as a concern which is emerging.
Well, that's one that I hear a lot from club owners when I'm speaking to them. A lot of them talk about the award wage and the implications of that award wage and the complications of that award wage. And I think you just used a great word, flexibility, the lack of flexibility. It's almost like they wrote the deal, the contract, without consultation from the industry and had no idea about a 45-minute or a 30-minute group fitness class and how that looks.
Yeah.
And owners can't afford to pay 3 hours for someone to teach a 30-minute class.
No. And most workplace agreements are based on a 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 work day, which 8 hours in that time, which doesn't work in our industry because the peaks and troughs of demand don't fit that model.
Exactly.
So, look, I think common sense will prevail, but we need to put up a decent case, obviously. The no disadvantages will slow ride everything, but I don't see any disadvantage. I only see advantages on both sides. Now that's early days on my first looking at it, but I think we can put up a case to justify changes there.
And that's still probably 2 to 3 years away, even if we started that consultation.
It depends how quickly we can get it together and build the case.
Right.
But it could be as long as that, but it could be 18 months.
Will Fitness Australia have to look at taking a more proactive, I guess, education role around club owners, club managers complying with the award? I mean, you've got the HR component for your members. Would you be saying that these guys should be really talking and making sure that they've crossed their T's, dotted their I's on their agreements?
Yeah, look, JT, we know from the media of the last month or so some of the large companies and organisations that have been quite rightly, I think, pilloried in the media for underpaying staff or doing the wrong thing. If we come back to the image of the fitness industry, it would be counterproductive if it got in the media for whatever reason that a large number of operators, businesses were not doing the right thing. Now, people do the wrong thing either consciously or unconsciously, and I would hope that no one's doing it consciously.
Yeah, I think most people are doing it
Yeah.
unconsciously
Yeah.
because they don't understand.
And it happens.
Yeah.
And you know, you get some latitude for that. And if there was one or two smaller operators doing it, I think we could deal with that, you know, reasonably well. But if it was fairly common throughout the industry, we're going to have a huge problem. So I would suggest that anyone who's got any doubts contacts FCB. It's a free service provided through Fitness Australia.
So why wouldn't you make the call?
Yeah,
It's free.
make the call.
Yeah.
Just to safeguard yourself, because the last thing you want. I mean, we've seen. Look what happened with George Columbaris. Gets in the paper. All of a sudden now his businesses are gone,
Yeah.
bankrupt, and he said, or the administrators said, that once it hit the paper, the customers stopped coming. Now, any business that has their customers stop coming is in difficulty. So it's beholden and probably prudent for any of our businesses, whether they be large or small, just check they're doing the right thing.
And even when they do have that conversation, they're not dobbing themselves in.
No.
They're just getting consultative services on what they then need to do to rectify the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really important as an industry we look into that.
Absolutely.
So, 14 months down the track, we've covered a lot today.
We have.
Tell me, what do you love about coming to work every day?
I love seeing my staff. They're all happy little Vegemites.
Well, now on that, because I've been coming in here a few times, it is a different feel in the office. And that has to come through to the members, the reps members, the business members, the community. The guys are happy. You've done a great cultural shift.
Well, it's a work in progress. We've just completed an employee survey, and look, it was very positive. We had 19 out of 20 staff here respond to that survey. That's almost unheard of for a voluntary anonymous employee survey. And look, we can always do things better, JT. You know, any boss can do things better, any organisation can do things better. But it was pretty positive. But as I said to you before, it's just such a positive industry, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I've worked in the not-for-profit sector, many years now, and not all industries are all as positive as this industry. They all have pockets of positivity, but they also have pockets of negativity because of the client base they work with in many cases. We work with that same client base through our business members and our Oz reps. We have exactly the same cross-section of the community. But the people who we engage with are all trying to improve their situation. And I can't think of any other industry that actually has that, to be quite honest. There may be some out there, but I haven't come across them yet, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's things that we're doing, I'll just share with you because I know we're about to wrap up shortly, but I had a meeting with the Education Department, New South Wales, just recently. Most states have got these voucher systems where children can access a $100 voucher or $200 voucher, and they can go and spend that in a recognised program.
So we have it, I think, in New South Wales. It's for sport and also for arts.
Yep, and that sport's pretty wide.
Yeah, but incredibly broad.
Yeah, pretty broad.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic initiative, and most states have that sort of thing now. Where they all fall down is that they start at the age of 5. Now, I know from early childhood background that the ages from 2 to 5 in terms of a child's development are much more important than the ages of 5 to 7.
Zoe used to do dancing between 2 and 5.
Okay, and that's just not Barrie Elvish saying that the research clearly indicates, paediatricians, all the rest of it, that gross motor skill development, the emotional, social, cognitive skills and so on are much more important at the earlier age. And it seems to me that most state governments have started this at 5 because it suits the school sector.
Yeah.
No other reason. So we've had some discussions here in New South Wales, and I'm aware that there is a submission to the government here to drop that age to 3, which would be fantastic. I've had some discussions with the Education Department here in New South Wales, and they've said if we put up to them a proposal to run a pilot program for exercise programs in early childhood settings, childcare and kindergarten, they will look very seriously at funding that as a pilot. So this is something we're putting together literally as we speak now. I've just got off the phone this morning with our staff member that's going to help coordinate this. So we're looking at, so any of your listeners who are based in regional New South Wales, if they've got children at an early childhood setting, kindergarten or childcare, and ideally if they're an Oz rep who've got children in one of those settings, please make contact with me directly, because we're going to roll this program out, and part of this exercise is to get the government to reduce the vouchers for all 3-year-olds, not just children being in childcare or whatever, and not just do an exercise program in a childcare environment, because the concept is we're going to go in, we're going to train the parents, which in most cases will be mothers, to deliver the program themselves with their children. We'll then pull out, so we'll use the voucher system to help get it going. We'll then pull out, then it becomes self-supporting. The mums can get involved exercising with their kids, which is fantastic, because
great bonding. Mums and dads?
Mums and dads. Mums, absolutely. I'm only saying mums because my experience with early childhood is
the majority
used to
would be mums.
It's mainly mums. It's a good social network for mums. Some of those mothers may want to go off and do a Cert 3 or Cert 4. They can then work part-time while their kids are in childcare, or their dads, by the way, while they're in kindergarten or childcare. So it's got so many pluses. So if you know someone, or you've got children in it has to be regional New South Wales. The government will not fund one from Newcastle to Wollongong or Sydney. Not
so
quite
it's
sure
outside of that.
Outside of that coastal.
Yep.
Regional New South Wales, any early childhood services they're aware of. Could be interested if they are parents in those centres. If they're AusReps, even better. That'll save us some time. Really exciting initiative. Hopefully get rolled out later this year.
I know a couple of people that I will tag in the comments below so that they watch this and hear that, because I think there's some great ones there. So people need to get in contact with you if they're happy to do some regional activities for 3 to 5 year olds. They need to get in touch with you if they live in Perth and they want to hook up with you in Perth.
Or let's not say hook up.
Well, catch up.
Catch up
with you in Perth.
I got crucified by one of my sons for saying hook up.
What is this thing you say hook up? Catch up in Perth. We're looking for anybody that can distribute some easy to use equipment.
Or just donate. Let us know. We'll facilitate the transport and so on.
And that's for active farmers.
Yep.
Why else do we want people to contact you? I think that was all, those 3.
Buy tickets to the awards dinner. And
then we want you to get some tickets to the awards dinner. Emma Barrie will be seeing you at Philex this year. And that's awards.fitness.org.au. What we didn't say, if people want information on the eating disorders, that's on the fitness.org website.
Yep.
So check that out on the Fitness Australia website, which is fitness.org.au. I think that's it.
And any other messages they've got for yours truly? barrie.elvish@fitness.org.au. I love getting emails.
Mate, you're doing a great job. You must be really happy. I caught up with half a dozen owners or so this week, and they all said, Fitness Australia has really turned the corner and making a mark, and a good mark.
Well, we're trying. Look, we've got a fantastic product, JT, as you know. I mean, you're part of that product. We've got a fantastic product. We just need to, just get our act together.
Well done. And we'll be back in 4 months unless the initiatives come out sooner.
Yep, they'll be out sooner.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And we will catch you guys next time.